It was a thick and sultry night in Jackson, Alabama. The stars were hidden behind heavy clouds, and the shy moon barely cast its light over the vast Walmart parking lot. Inside the store, the fluorescent lights cast a cold glow over the nearly deserted aisles. Anna, a 20-year-old girl, adjusted her headphones, trying to lose herself in the music while folding pants in the men's section. Music was her constant companion during these night shifts. The soft noise of the empty store was almost comforting, a backdrop to her solitary routine. The clock read 11:30 p.m., and she knew she still had hours to go before she could go home. Suddenly, a movement in her peripheral vision made her stop. A customer was approaching, his footsteps lightly echoing on the linoleum floor. He was tall, wearing a dark coat, with an expression Anna couldn't immediately decipher. He approached slowly, looking at the pants with exaggerated attention. When he finally got close, he asked in an almost whispering tone if there were more pants of a specific model in a different size. Anna smiled, trying to look professional despite the discomfort starting to form in her stomach, and apologized, explaining that only what was on the rack was available. The man thanked her, but didn't immediately move away. His eyes met hers, and for a brief moment, she felt a chill. Something in his gaze made her uneasy, but she forced a smile and returned to her work, folding the pants mechanically. When he finally walked away, Anna let out a relieved sigh, but the feeling of being watched remained. Time passed slowly, and the store began to turn into a true desert. Anna decided to change sections, hoping a new task would help chase away the unease. As she headed to the appliances section, a slight shiver ran down her spine. She didn't know what was coming, but the night was just beginning, and something in the air seemed to foreshadow that this wouldn't be an ordinary night. A few hours passed, and the store, which was already quiet, began to feel like a ghost town. The fluorescent lights cast long, unsettling shadows across the empty aisles. Anna, still feeling the slight tension from the earlier encounter, decided to head to the appliances section. Maybe the task of stocking new merchandise could distract her mind. She pushed a cart full of boxes, her footsteps echoing on the linoleum floor as she moved forward. The sensation of being watched continued to gnaw at her mind, but she tried to push it away with each deep breath. When she reached the appliances section, she began unpacking the items, focusing on the meticulous work of placing each thing in its proper place. Then, through the gap between the shelves, she saw movement. Someone was in the adjacent aisle, and they seemed to be watching her. Her heart raced, and the chill down her spine returned with full force. Trying to disguise her look, Anna peeked again, and her heart nearly stopped. It was the same man from before, the one she had that strange encounter with in the men's section. He was there, standing like a statue, but his eyes were fixed on her. The discomfort turned into dread. How could he still be in the store? And worse, why was he just wandering the aisles without picking up anything? With her heart pounding, Anna tried to rationalize the situation. Maybe he was waiting for someone, or just passing time. But none of it seemed to make sense. Determined to check, she pushed the cart further and walked past the aisle where he was. She glanced at his hands, hoping to see some item, anything that would justify his presence there. But his hands were empty, completely empty. A chill ran through her body. He wasn't there to shop. Anna felt a rising panic, but tried to maintain her composure. She quickly finished stocking the shelves with coffee machines and other appliances, and with the empty cart, she returned to the back. However, the feeling of being watched did not disappear. On the contrary, it seemed to grow stronger with every minute. As she moved through the empty aisles, the silent store seemed to come alive with shadows and sounds she couldn't identify. Her instinct told her that something was terribly wrong, and she knew the night was far from over, with more mysteries and dangers lurking in the shadows of Walmart. The discomfort turned into latent panic. Anna, with her heart racing, decided she needed a break. Pushing the empty cart back to the storage area, she breathed deeply, trying to calm her nerves. The storage section seemed to offer a temporary refuge, away from the stranger's penetrating eyes. Entering the employee lounge, a small room with worn chairs and a coffee table, Anna let herself fall into one of the chairs, removing her headphones. The silence of the space was disturbingly comforting, a contrast to the constant hum of the fluorescent lights in the main store. She took out her phone and started scrolling through social media, looking for some distraction, anything that could chase away the feeling of being watched. But the tranquility was brief. A distant noise, almost imperceptible, caught her attention. Something like the shuffling of feet or maybe a light tapping of a door. Anna lifted her head, her heart pounding again. She was alone in that lounge, but the sensation of not being alone in the building was overwhelming. Was she just imagining things? Deciding she couldn't sit there any longer, Anna stood up and looked around. The corridor leading back to the warehouse seemed like an endless tunnel, wrapped in shadows. Taking a deep breath, she left the lounge and began to walk, her footsteps echoing on the concrete floor. As she approached the dairy cold storage, an idea occurred to her. Maybe working in a different section would help dispel the unease. Inside the cold storage, the temperature dropped drastically, but Anna found some comfort in the cold. She started filling boxes with products like milk and yogurt, checking the expiration dates. The constant noise of the refrigerators filled the space, drowning out other sounds. Suddenly, a creak. The cold storage door burst open with a bang. Anna froze, her breath caught in her throat. There was a small gap between the stacked boxes, and she peeked through it. The same man from before was standing at the entrance, his eyes fixed on her with a disturbing intensity. Anna felt her heart nearly stop when she saw the man standing at the entrance of the cold storage. The intense cold seemed to mix with the ice in her veins as the door slowly closed behind him. His eyes, full of unfathomable darkness, fixed on her, and a subtle, disturbing smile appeared on his face. Without thinking, Anna ducked and ran to hide behind a stack of milk crates. The constant noise of the refrigerators masked her movements, but she knew she couldn't stay there for long. The man advanced slowly, his footsteps echoing sinisterly in the enclosed space. She held her breath, trying to stay quiet. She could hear the sound of her own pulse, the rising panic in her mind. Through a small gap between the crates, she saw him getting closer and closer, his sinister shadow growing as he moved. Terror took hold of her body, but she knew she had to act. In a quick motion, she pushed a large box filled with eggs toward the man. The box toppled over, spilling eggs all over the floor and causing him to stumble and step back. Seizing the moment, Anna ran for the exit of the cold storage, her heart racing. She dashed through the empty aisles in a frenzy, every shadow seeming to hide dangers. Anna knew she needed to find help, someone who could protect her from that strange and threatening man. Finally, she spotted another employee, Bob, who was restocking shelves in the cleaning section. Panting heavily, she ran up to him, trying to explain what was happening. But before she could say anything, the man appeared again, this time with a serious expression. He approached both of them and, with a calm and controlled voice, said, "Sorry for the scare. I'm from headquarters, and I'm checking on the night shift work. Just wanted to ensure everything was running smoothly." Bob looked confused but didn't question him. Anna, on the other hand, felt that something was terribly wrong. The man then gave her a quick glance, with a cold gleam in his eyes, before walking away, quickly moving down the aisle. Anna knew she couldn't leave it at that. She needed to find out the truth about that man and protect herself from any danger he might pose. Anna knew she couldn't just accept the man's explanation. Something about him made her extremely uncomfortable. The cold gleam in his eyes, the way he always seemed to be nearby. None of it made sense. When he walked away, she quickly whispered to Bob, "That man isn't from headquarters. He's been following me all night, entered the cold storage without permission, and tried to grab me." Bob frowned, doubt settling on his face. But before he could respond, the man, who had called himself Tom, was already disappearing down the Walmart aisles. Anna knew she couldn't let him get away so easily. "Let's go to the management office," Anna said, with renewed determination. "We need to check the cameras and call the police." The two quickly made their way to the security room. Margaret, the night manager, was there, half asleep in front of the monitors. When Anna and Bob quickly explained what was happening, she widened her eyes and began checking the recordings. "There's no Tom on our employee list, and there's certainly no scheduled visit from headquarters," Margaret said, her voice growing firmer as the adrenaline fully woke her up. The cameras showed Tom wandering around the store, clearly stalking Anna. On several occasions, he appeared to be lurking, watching her every move. Margaret didn't hesitate. She immediately called the police, reporting the suspicious intruder. While waiting for the officers to arrive, Anna and Bob stayed in the security room, their eyes glued to the screens. The tension in the air was palpable. Then, they saw Tom again on the cameras, this time heading towards the store exit. "He's trying to escape," Bob said. Anna and Bob ran out of the room, trying to reach Tom before he could disappear into the night. They arrived at the parking lot, where the rain was beginning to fall, heavy and cold. Tom was getting into a dark car, but before he could close the door, the sound of police sirens pierced the air. The officers quickly surrounded the car, forcing Tom to come out with his hands up. He was handcuffed and placed in the squad car while the police talked to Anna, Bob, and Margaret to understand the situation better. Later that night, in the manager's office, Margaret looked at Anna seriously. "You did the right thing. If it weren't for you, he might have gotten away. Who knows what else he could have done?" Anna felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. She knew it had been a terrible night, but she also knew she had done everything she could to protect herself and others. She looked out the window, seeing the blue and red lights reflecting off the rain. She knew this experience would mark her, but she also knew she had the strength to face anything. And so, the night finally ended, with Anna feeling a bit safer but aware that true safety came from being always vigilant and prepared. The darkness of Walmart began to dissipate, giving way to the light of dawn, promising a new beginning.